What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So I want to show you the generic congressional ballot. Now, I generally don't show this just by itself, but I want to talk a little bit about this because we're seeing this pattern and it's growing when it comes to Democrats are increasing their lead in the generic ballot. And what does that really mean for the midterm election? So we're going to talk about that in this video. But first off, if you guys can do me a favor, please like the video. If you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to show you, first off, the generic ballot. So what are we looking at right now? So right now we're looking at Real Clear Politics, and you guys know they average the different polls. Right now they're showing the generic ballot, and this is in yellow here at the top, plus 5.4%. Okay, so that sounds like, it doesn't sound like it's that much, but when you look back in history, and that's what we want to do here, when you look back in history, you see that if we go all the way back and look at the date there at the top, January 28th of 2025, what did we see? We saw Republicans had a lead with the generic ballot, okay? Now look at what happened, and this started in February 17th of 2025. We saw a crossover, okay? So they were basically tied, 45.5%, 45.5%, so Democrats and Republicans. And then at this point, we saw it kind of stay the same for a little bit, and then it dropped down. March 2nd of 2025, we saw Republicans start to drop a little bit. And then this is when we saw the split start, okay? Now, if you're looking at the top here in yellow where it says Democrats, you see it's plus 9, plus 1.4, plus 2.0, plus 2.3, 1.9. You see that as we move through. Now we're into June of 2025. It was plus 2.4%. And you see it you're seeing Democrats start to increase their lead. Now, they've increased their lead at some points, and then it dropped back down. Okay, it dropped back down. So it went from 3.9% August 22nd. Now it dropped down in September 1st. It dropped down to plus 2.5. And so you see that. It goes back and forth, back and forth. And then you see this large gap here. And this large gap here was 5.2% and 5.6, 5.5%. So we saw the largest lead that Democrats had. That was in December 2nd of 2025. And then it went back down again, okay, to 3.2, 3.7, 3.9, and then dropped down here, 4.5. But look at the very end here, okay? Now remember, we were at, 5.6? I think that was the largest. So now we're back at 5.4, okay? So Democrats are at 5.4 right here, and this is the latest numbers. That's March 25th of 2026. And so we'll have to see where it goes from here. But if you just look at this illustration here, you can see that Democrats are gradually, they'll get up to 4%, or they'll get up to 5%, and then they'll come back down a little bit, and then they'll go back up, and then they'll come back down. But you see that gap now, it's pretty consistent that Democrats are ahead, okay? So if you go all the way back to March of last year, that's when we saw that real movement for Democrats, and they took the lead, and they've kept the lead thus far, and we're seeing that lead a little bit larger. So we saw the highest point at 5.6%, and now we're at 5.4%. And so what does this mean in the big scheme of things? We're looking at the generic congressional ballot. What does that mean? When we're looking at Democrats favored, that means Democrats have a high likelihood of taking back control of the House, and they could potentially take back control of the Senate. And the reason that I'm saying that is because when we look at the House, now we do have a few open seats, they'll do some special elections, but right now Democrats are at about 215, Republicans are at 220. What we need to see for Democrats to take back control of the House is Democrats need to be at 218. They need to net 3 seats. That is not a hard task, especially when we're talking about a midterm election, and generally, historically speaking, the president's party loses in that midterm election. And so that gives Democrats an advantage right there. Now, we have the +1 model that I've shown you guys here, the AI model, and I will be doing a video. I'll be updating that very shortly. But when we're looking at that +1 model, that +1 model is showing us it's around 40 seats, a 40-seat gain for Democrats. And so just looking at the reality that Democrats only need to net 3 seats, it's very likely that Democrats will be able to net those 3 seats and take back control of the House. Now, when it comes to the Senate is going to be a little bit harder because Democrats are going to need to net 4 seats. And when we're looking at the map, it's not going to be an easy task for Democrats to do. But they still have a possibility of taking back control of both the House and the Senate because we have some of these Senate races that have changed. The dynamics have changed. You have different candidates running. You have some Senate seats that are now open seats. And so there's a lot going on when it comes to the Senate. It will be hard for Democrats, but they still do have a possibility of taking back control of the Senate. And so the bottom line here is when we're looking at these numbers, when we're looking at the generic congressional ballot, you would rather be on the Democratic side than the Republican side right now because we haven't seen Republicans even be close to having a lead since February of last year. And they haven't been able to regain a lead since then. And so the momentum right now, we're seeing it go towards Democrats. We'll have to see if that plays out in the midterm elections. And remember, when we're looking at these different polls, this is a snapshot of what's going on today. That could change a month from now. That could change before the midterm election. And so we'll just have to see how that plays out. There's a lot of different things going on right now. The economy is still not doing well. People are very upset about that. We have this conflict in Iran. People are upset about that. And so we'll have to see if those dynamics change. If those dynamics change, it could favor the president. It could favor Democrats. We just don't know yet. So we'll have to just see how that plays out. But I want to know what you guys think about all this. Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.